Hi, part 2 on the harmonic minor. Now, I said in part 1, the whole concept of the scale is kind of this relationship between the first chord. So I'm going to stick in the key of G minor. The first chord is the minor chord, and the fifth chord is a major chord that we can make into a dominant seventh. So when you're practicing the scale shape, it's, for me, a really important thing to do is to break the scale down and know where your chord tones are. So the two chord shapes that you really need to know within each scale shape are the first chord and the fifth chord. So if we're in this position, the problem with this chord shape is it doesn't really help us that much in terms of the scale shape that we're playing over here. It's outside of that scale shape. So what we want to be able to do is find the equivalent chords, the fifth chord, within that scale shape. So there's a couple of ways we could do this. We know that we've got G minor and we're going to D. Well, the easiest way to find something else first would be we've just got a D shape here. And we can see so if we start playing with the first position, we can find that these chords, that we've got our major chord here. Then the second one that you could use is play a C shape. So you play a C shape here. So I'm doing the 5th fret, 4th fret. I'm skipping a string to the B string and playing the 3rd string. So I'm just playing a C shape. And then I'm going to land my pinky to make it a C7 shape. So basically we're playing a C7 shape and we've just moved it up. So it now becomes a D7 shape. So that gives us another option. And then my favourite option that I probably use the most is like an abbreviation of this shape. So instead of playing it like a C shape, I use my second finger, then I use my first finger, and then I use my third finger. And I've got this triangle shape here. So I'm on the 5th, 4th, and 5th. And I'd use my thumb to block off that string and my fingers would block off the other two strings. So I got this. So this gives us a number of ways to do this resolution. So now I'm going to use the C shape instead. Now I'm going to use the abbreviated. And now your regular D shape. So it's worth practicing that just as a chord sequence and change to all your different options of D7. Now the reason why these other shapes are useful is because they sit within the first position scale shape. So So now what we've got is we've got a bunch of target notes. So if you're expressing G minor and you want to play a harmonic minor over that, what you should try and do is if you're playing a phrase is you want to end it on one of the chord tones. But if you're wanting to express the D Phrygian, then what you want to target is your D7 chord tones. So, so this idea is pretty important. So, a good way to practice is just play the minor chord and then practice resolving your phrases to the minor chord notes, and then change your emphasis to the D7th chord. And then try and resolve your phrases to the notes in D7. See this note here. And those are the most important notes that you've got to look for. So you've got to look for your notes that relate to this chord here, or your notes that relate to the D7th chord here, depending on which one you want to express. And then you do the same in the 5th position. Now this is a lot less complicated because we can just boil this down to 2 chord shapes. So if we go up to the 10th fret here, we can play a D7. And then we can play at A7. Sorry, at A minor. D7, A minor. So that is a lot more simple. So if we come to here, we can. So the important thing here, I think, is to break this down in terms of scale shapes. So I'm there going, okay, I've got my D7 here. If I just play 1 octave, that is my pure Phrygian dominant sound. Then if I switch to A minor, the minor shape, which would be G minor, what's important for me to see is this scale shape up here. So I'm going to start from G. So again, it's all about thinking. If I'm up here, I'm using this acts as my target. Or if I want to play it as a G minor, I'm going to be using the G minor notes as my target notes. So for me, if I'm thinking G minor, it's very useful to see the harmonic minor scale in its purest sense within so it's useful to practice it in octaves. Okay, so that's the two main chords you're going to be targeting it over. You're going to be targeting over a D7th or a G minor. So you want to spend some time finding those chord shapes within those scales and using those as target notes. Okay, end of lesson.